pleased to be able to say that we have had a lot of success over the last year, and I'll give you a bit of an overview as to what we're doing. Tethyan Resources is a pretty classic junior exploration model company. So I'm a geologist by background. I've spent most of my career in Eastern Europe and extending into Turkey, Armenia, Georgia, and all of this is part of the Tethyan mineral belt, which is now a mountain range essentially that extends almost 10,000 kilometers across the globe, and the formation of it also formed multiple very significant mineral deposits. So knowing that general geology well, we established a land holding in Serbia in 2016. And we're lucky we did it just then, because if we'd arrived 6 months later, we wouldn't have been able to pick up any exploration licenses at all. And I'll explain why as we go into this. There's been a real rush into the country. Just out of interest, what you're seeing here, the hill, this is our Rudnica porphyry. It's a copper-gold deposit. Everything you can see there on that hill is basically mineralized with copper and gold from surface. Most of our drilling's been centered at the top of the hill. We've had some great drill results, extending 500 to 600 meter long intervals, open in all directions, and as well as being a well-mineralized system, the key things that we have here are the settings. So we've got roads, power line, water. It's a historical mining area, and all of these things have a huge impact on reducing the potential capital to build a mine, and also the investment climate and the social climate for what it takes to actually get the license to go into production. So I'll skip through most of this because you can find the presentation on our website. But a key point to note is at the beginning of this year, we attracted the investment of the Augusta Group, which is essentially the investment vehicle for a guy called Richard Walk, who is, I think, undoubtedly the most successful mining entrepreneur of the last 10 years. Here are four of his four last transactions. The most recent Arizona mining was sold last year in August for 2.1 billion Canadian. A bit crude perhaps, but he's now a cash billionaire and in a difficult mining environment. So he took 3 weeks off, I think, and then very quickly thought, where can I put this capital to work? What's the next Arizona mining? And their team did due diligence on tens and tens of projects. They spent time with us in Serbia over 5 months doing due diligence, and we were their first investment post this. So I think that's a great endorsement. Not only that, did Richard Walk come on as our executive chairman. So we've had a great run in share price, up from 15 to 20 cents up to over 80 cents. We announced a financing with JP Morgan Asset Management just last week for $5 million. And we're just at the beginning of a very busy exploration program in Serbia. These maps really are just showing where the area is. Serbia is at the western end of this Tethyan mineral belt. It's an area where there's been mining for more than 2,000 years. On our license, there's Roman adits, and then crucially, in the 1900s, this was one of the largest zinc-producing regions in Europe. Now, most of this production ceased due to the conflicts in the area, so this complex of mines is basically dormant and hasn't really been reinvigorated. We've managed to claim the rights over a 500 square kilometer area surrounding 2 historical past-producing mines for zinc, but what we also realized with a new geological understanding is that there are gold deposits associated with these that were never really explored for before. There was a new mining law brought in Serbia at the end of 2015, and this incentivized investment in the country, along with some recent successes. A company was bought out recently in Serbia for $1.4 billion, a similar copper-gold project to ours, and we are the next more advanced copper-gold project in the country. And needless to say, we've got constant interest from large mining companies, and we're working this project towards being able to advance and construct a mine ourselves. But in all likelihood, if a major mining company was to come along and offer us a check that our shareholders are happy with, then that's the approach we'll take. And that's where we really see the uplift in value. It's what Richard's done 4 times in a row and made thousands of % gains on the initial investments. Serbia is a very low cost and easy operating environment. Me and the rest of the team, we've worked all over the world, and many projects are really hindered by high costs. If you're having to fly in drill rigs with helicopters, for example, so that's a key thing. We can make our investment go a lot further than most other companies. We can work year-round. Many projects we're aware of that are similar are in remote, high Andean sort of settings in Canada, and they may only have 4 or 5 months of the year where they can actually do work. Now, why as an investor would you hold the stock when they put out that last announcement, we finished drilling for the season and we'll start up again in 8 months? There's nothing to look forward to. We can keep news flow moving. We've got 2 rigs on site currently. We're going to be adding to that throughout the season. And we've planned out a roadmap to get us from where we are today to a resource estimate by the end of the year and a preliminary economic assessment by this time next year. I've talked about the infrastructure. It's really as good as anywhere you could expect, or as good as anywhere in the world for this setting. It's the local environment. There's a history of mining. So obviously, to a lot of people, mining can be a bit of a dirty word. Obviously, if it's done right, we believe strongly that it's a benefit to the communities and the country and can be done in harmony with the environment. But it's very important that you can put that across and the local government and people also agree with that. So we've got a large land package. I won't go into too much detail here, but these are a series of exploration licenses over volcanic rocks, which are really what were the driving force for the fluids that brought in the different mineral deposits. We've got 2 copper-gold porphyries and 5 historical lead, zinc, silver, high-grade resources on this area. So multiple opportunities. But the key one we're focused on now is called Rinitsa. This is a little bit more technical, but on the left, the reddish colors, this is the concentration of gold in soil sampling. That area extends almost 1.5 kilometers north-south, but you can see it's strongest in the south. And this is some work that we've been doing subsequent to our early drilling. You can see the drill holes, which are the dots with lines coming off them. And what we're seeing is it's strengthening to the south. The soil sampling stops there because you get into a valley where you've got new sediments that have been flushed over the top, so you can't sample that soil and be confident that it represents what's below it. So whereas the soil sampling stops, we can use geophysics. And as a geologist, I get very encouraged when you see multiple data sets telling us the same thing. So we've got, on the right, a high magnetism of the rocks associated very well with the gold in the soil sampling. And again, we see it strengthening to the south. So just now, with our new investment, we're putting that money to work in drilling this area towards the south, where we think we can really grow this project and see higher grades. This is basically giving you a feel for what it looks like. It's mineralized from the surface, but what gives us a real advantage is this supergene copper zone, the middle band there. What happens is, over many, many years, the copper is leached out by rainwater, essentially groundwater. It's dissolved and it's transported, and then it gets redeposited and concentrated in a horizontal layer. In our previous drilling, we've seen this at 30 meters thick and grading up to 1.5% copper. We are releasing results very soon in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and visually we saw this extend over 50 to 60 meters thick. Now, whereas at 0.5% copper, which is the average the grade of mining copper deposits in the world at the moment, if we can be mining in the early years of this mine life, because it's near surface, in excess of 1.5% copper, this is going to have a really rapid impact on paying back the capital that it cost to build the mine. And once that debt is paid off, and first of all, we've reduced the cost to build it because of the existing infrastructure, these mines can generate very good cash flow for decades. And this is what we see. This has the potential for quick payback early in the mine life because of the high grades, and then a very large deposit which will generate long cash flows for decades to come. And that's the sort of production profile that major mining companies are looking for, because every day they're mining and they're not replenishing the resources that they're currently depleting. And because of the poor investment climate for mining recently and poor commodity prices, people haven't been investing in the exploration that they should have. So as the mining sector turns, which it looks like it is, they're going to start looking at companies like Tethyan to be that growth profile, and that's where we'll position ourselves very well to be a takeout candidate. That's been Richard Walk's real skill over the last 2 decades, and that's exactly why he's invested in this company. He sees this as a rapid path to being a takeout candidate. So this is going to be worked up very quickly during the year. You'll see constant news flow. We want to see a continual attrition, growing the share price, and then we want to underpin that with a resource estimate and an economic study over the next 12 months. And I think we should see a really significant lift on the share price from where we are today. Although we've seen a 4-fold increase, we're still only valued at 40 million Canadian, and when you consider the recent takeout of 1.4 billion for a copper gold project in the country, there's a lot of room for us to grow. Aside from this, we've got an ongoing program of identifying new targets. We've recently been approached by a number of major mining companies who want to get involved in a new porphyry. This is 10 kilometers to the north. I realize this is more geological, but what I'm showing is a pipeline of opportunities, so we're not just a one-trick pony. And then very excitingly, it's a zinc district, and we've just drilled at the end of last year some very high-grade zinc deposits near surface. So we've got really 2 silos of opportunity, a large copper-gold project and a high-grade zinc-silver project. So I'll leave it at that for today, but please keep an eye on the company. News flow is going to be very consistent, and I think you should see a good share price gain from where we are today. Thank you.